This is the Newsroom podcast from the Tulsa World. I'm Editor Jason Collington. I'm here with Nicole Middleton. She is the editor of Tulsa World Magazine, and we do an annual list of the 50 things that we love. And we want to kind of go over that list. If it's a new year, you're looking for some new things to kind of dig into, new places to eat, new experiences. She's kind of gathered with her staff and the newsroom and giving you some recommendations, some things you might not know about. Nicole, remind me, how did this all start? When did we start this, and what was the idea?
We have done the Tulsa 50 for about, I would say, 4 years, not the whole time that we've done the Tulsa World Magazine, but it was inspired by our very first edition of the Tulsa World Magazine, where we did 100 things that you should go do in Tulsa. Things that are more kind of iconic, is what we did with the first 100. But we kind of riffed on that with the 50, and we try and do things that are sort of trending, things that you may not have heard yet that are kind of popular, whether it's restaurants, music, things to all different kinds of things. We call it the list of things to eat, see, experience, try. I mean, so you get a thing. It's a to-do list. It's a thing you should pull out, and if you're looking for something to do on the weekend or when you have some time.
There are some tasty things. You go through it, and we've got this at tulsaworldmagazine.com, and we'll put the link in the show notes here. But one of the things that what I like about it is there is some new things to eat. It's not so much dinner, but there may be a snack. There might be a little treat here and so we got some cannolis, but we also got some places that you may not have been in a while. What are some of the highlights for you out of the 50 things that we picked this year? What are some ones that really stand out to you?
Well, you mentioned one of them, the cannolis, the Nana Rose cannolis, is one of my favorites, and that's one that I wrote myself and went out and tried, because cannolis is not something that's necessarily.
You took that really tough assignment.
I took that bullet my own self. I can't profess to have done everything in the 50, because I still a list of things for me to do, and I know you do too. But it's a collaboration. I mean, it's multiple reporters are working on this, so somebody's done it, somebody's gone out and tried it. And I did the cannolis, and that's, like I said, cannolis aren't like front of mind. It's not something like, I'm gonna go get a cannoli, but when this is the place to go, I think I said in it, it's like, if you've never had a cannoli, this is going to ruin you for all other cannolis. Have you tried it? Have you been out there to?
I have not yet. So I've checked a couple of these off my list, but I have not checked that one.
Yeah, that's one. Like I said, you go in there and it's just stacks, and there's a lot of other Italian, really, home style foods and bakery items. But that's really if you got to walk away with something they've got limoncello, they've got butter pecan, different different Sicilian ones that it's a good place. I also wrote down just music. You and I've talked about the Zach Bryan. He's in here. Those albums, if you haven't heard or listened to that, I mean, I know that you're a fan after we talked about it. I would definitely say that he just produced an immense amount of music last year. I mean, usually somebody like, oh, I put out an album this year. It's like he put out an album with 35 songs on it, and then he put another album out. He put another album out. So it's like, and
he was just on Yellowstone a couple episodes ago.
He was on Yellowstone. I mean, and he's on twice, I think, in this last season. And one of them was he had 3 songs in a row. So that's pretty cool to hear this local person. What else what's one that you've tried?
Well, for me, I love the help on the new barbecue spots. So I've done the 1907 barbecue. We put in a couple Max barbecues now in Canes. And so there's the barbecue places that I've enjoyed. Jenkins and Company, again, really nice, elegant store that's in town. Specializes in home goods and stuff like that. Very kind of cool to walk and shop through that. I love the fact that also we touched on the pickleball trend that's kind of going away. I didn't know that we needed another paddle ball sport, so I thought we had enough, but no, there was that niche for pickleball. we let you know where to go and where to do that. And then also Franconia pottery, something one of my relatives was really big in. That is back. We mentioned that as well. I have not stayed the night at the Greaser Hideout. Have you yet, Nicole?
Not the Greaser Hideout, but I did do Canebrake. I mean, before it was reopened, and then this was happening like right when we were doing this magazine that the Canebrake resort was coming back, and they're doing a lot of the fun stuff. I've seen, following them on Facebook, a lot of the fun stuff that they used to do. Like they were really known for their, for different holidays and people hanging out on the patio out back. And I've seen on Facebook that they're doing that. But I found my list here. So Madre's Happy Hour is one of the things that I recommend to everybody too, that's in this. And that was another one that I did myself. They just have a selection of really good margaritas, but they also have some really good like snacky things to go with that. So it's a little different Mexican restaurant. I mean, I wasn't exactly sure how Tulsa would take it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like it just has some different sort of dishes. But it's last few times I've been going, it's just been really busy, and I was happy to see that. I like the one of the margaritas that they do it with cucumber in it, and it kind of takes the edge off of the super sweet, sour, that sometimes is too much. So that was another. And then, we always give Res Dogs props, and we're not the only ones. I mean, if you've seen, like, it's been on top 10 lists of like 10 different major publications across the country, the New York Times. So we the new season was out, and if people
You're talking about Reservation Dogs, it's on Hulu.
Correct. Yeah. Reservation Dog Show. So that's, as we call it, Res Dogs, but it is always something we want to promote. If somebody hasn't seen it, it's something you don't want to miss. That was on my list.
I checked out Bar Sarah, which is the new kind of pub there in the Utica Square for Nelly's group. That's been a good. And also I did take my first trip to the Bob Dylan Center, something that landed here. What was it, in May? And I took my first tour of that and saw the other exhibit that was inside of it as well. Really impressed by the layout of that and how much depth there is. And then just because we talked about treats a little bit, Drunken Chipmunk at Coffee House on Cherry Street. So that is one of the coolest coffee shops in town. The Drunken Chipmunk, we got a nice picture of it here. That's something that sounds like it's worth stopping and looking at that. The other thing that I was really happy about to see on this list, and again, you kind of cast a wide net, Nicole. You ask everyone in the newsroom, and all of us in the newsroom talk to the cool people that we know. I know that I had a lifestyle expert that I know helped me on a couple of these recommendations as well. But there was some flower stuff in there. Some maybe a place you didn't know about. For the person who likes to have flowers in their house every once in a while, and then also there's a jewelry place as well. There's two diamonds, Diamond Cellar, and then also the Dylan Rose Fine Jewelry were two places that if you're looking for something that's kind of off the beaten path, both of those places kind of have some selection that you might not find in everywhere.
No, I both of those are good choices. I mean, it really is, like you said, a wide net. It's not, I mean, obviously you're going to have a lot of food because that's what people like to do, and people like to recommend different places that they've tried. That's kind of how we see this list is just if you're just talking to somebody and it's like, what have you been doing lately? Have you tried? Have you seen this? Have you tried this? It's that list. And the Country Bird Bakery was one of the ones. So this baker, she really uses really good ingredients, but she started just she was a baker, and she started a club, and she would, on Sundays, she would put them, people who like on social media or whatever, who heard of her breads, she would put it out on her porch. So people would.
Nicole, this is the Country Bird Bakery. They didn't start a fight club. They started a bread club.
They started a fight club. Exactly. And well, they could have started a fight club. I mean, people, there was that much in demand. I mean, you could also go to the meat and cheese show and find the bread there. But now they started this bakery. This was right as a lot that we're dealing a lot with the deadlines with this. Is a lot of this stuff is like just opening as we're working on this. We try and get things that are current and stay on top of that. It's supposed to be a trending list. I mean, as you know, the Hemingway was opening right about the time we were doing this too. So it was like, we try and make it current.
I still haven't got that reservation yet locked down, but I'm still working on that.
I hear really good things.
Forget your book club, bread club. I mean, that's
the bread club.
Yeah, forget books. That's crazy. Nicole, one of the things that I'm really happy about is, I think that we got one of the best magazines around, because I'm very biased when it comes to being the editor. But you've done a really, really good job of curating the magazine. And we're going to have, as I said, we've got magazines planned for this year, but tell everyone kind of can they expect in a Tulsa World magazine. It comes out once, 4 times a year, and kind of talk about some of the sections that are in it, some of the features that they can expect if they haven't checked it out yet.
Well, as you said, 4 times a year. So that just seemed obvious for us that we have a spring, summer, fall, and winter. And we try and keep it, based in the seasons. You try and put spring stuff and some, summer stuff, and then fall, obviously, and then holidays. So, and 2 of our regular things have been, the 50, and then we also do Tulsans of the Year in the winter. So those are regular, but the other 2 we try and just find different topics to focus on as the cover story. But the cover story, last year we did Beautiful Spaces in the spring, and then we did Western Lifestyle in the summer. So everything, because of how hot Yellowstone is, as you mentioned, we were inspired by that. And obviously we're in Oklahoma, and sometimes when you live in Tulsa or the metropolitan, you kind of forget about the ranch life and rodeo life and things on the outside. So that's, I personally did. So we wanted to kind of, open everybody's eyes to what was going around us, in Oklahoma, and, whether it's the, weddings and, so forth. But so we have a cover story and a theme that we go off of, but I am really proud of the profiles that we've been doing with Tulsa World Magazine. So I want to keep that a consistent part of the magazine, in because there's so many interesting people, and this magazine, with the Tulsa 50 had Wes Studi, so we did interviews with him. Obviously, he's in Reservation Dogs also, but he really resounds with our readers, don't you think, Jason?
Absolutely. And
we can't.
And you found some amazing archive photos of him at a protest back in the 70s. That we included, and I don't think we've printed those photos since the 70s.
No, it's cool. That
was Jimmy Trammell, who has a talent for the profile. He's done a lot of them, and many of them celebrities. But yeah, he really, really told the story of Wes Studi like we've never really told that before, with an interview with him and talking about his career in film. And again, him being a very outspoken person. He did it during the Oscars. And again, just an incredible person, and one of the most talented actors working today.
And what even bonus, he retweeted our story. he was so, it's a good story when the guy you wrote it about said this is a good story, and he retweeted it. So absolutely, kudos to Jimmy for that, and making that and he could have, having somebody like Wes, who's as big as he is, still talking to the hometown area. He was from No Fire Hollow. Jimmy talked about in that story. I was rereading that, and grew up in a home without electricity, in the 40s, and that's near Tahlequah, Jimmy said. So he really dove into the history about this famous actor, and he really shared a lot in that story. But so I think that's something that I think makes the magazine good, because it gives you something to sit down and read, to hold on to and sit on your sofa, and not necessarily have to you hold the magazine and not necessarily be on a screen, and give your eyes a break, and or sit on your patio or whatever and do that. But other features we do are district, where we tell you about entertainment districts around and what's happening there. And life in Native America, that we do talk about culture in Oklahoma and with the different tribes, Tulsa Trailblazers, people who founded the city, made it what it is. Those are some of the other features that we do. We do food at home. Always have some component where we bring either home and garden stories in. Those are some of the other things that the magazine has.
So the next magazine comes out in March. We are working on that right now. All of us are working on our content to get that done. And then we got 3 more issues after the March issue. And again, we collect all of this at TulsaWorldMagazine.com. And Nicole, thank you for going over the top 50 this is the Tulsa Magazine 50 and some of the highlights of that. And we will get back on here when the next magazine comes out in March and highlight that as well. Again, this is the Newsroom Podcast. Jason Collington here. And again, we thank Nicole Marshall Middleton, the editor of Tulsa World Magazine, for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.